Chair now recognizes Ms. Elfreth for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Shirley, welcome to Washington. I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to sit down yet, but you might have heard I'm a bit of a broken record when it comes to civil servants in this country. I represent 44,000 of them in my district alone. I've questioned your teammates as they've sat in front of this hearing room before about the 400 Fish and Wildlife civil servants who were summarily fired in February, 2,000 additional at Interior fired, and the closing of 150 field offices. You said in your opening remarks, or I'm sorry, in response to the ranking member, that the partnership and the service and the American people are kind of first and foremost in your mission. So I want to just follow up on the ranking member's questions about how. I had a professor in college who used to circle whole paragraphs in our papers and write, okay, but how? I'm very interested. I want to hear about the fate of these 2,400 employees and how you're going to actually achieve your mission, but the how are you going to achieve your current mission, and then how are you intending to implement all the bills that we're talking about today on a skeleton crew? Can you please enlighten me?
Yeah, thank you for that question, and I appreciate the chance to respond here. Again, I mentioned that I come from a state agency, and I've been here for 5 weeks or so. So my experience inside the federal system is daunting for sure. And as you bring up the employees that have left the service in one form or fashion, that was by voluntary reasons why they left. And on our, we've worked hard to make sure that our seasonal employee count is typically normally where it is. And so we're getting the work done there. And so really from my chair and what I see is we have a very dedicated, that's something that's been the fresh thing, if you will, of coming out here to DC, and my limited experience in working with the Fish and Wildlife Service in Utah was with a very few individuals, and coming out here and just starting to be part of the team. They want the same things that the American public does. They want to do their jobs well, and the direction that we try to give them is to work on mission critical circumstances, that we're using innovation and technology to try to streamline processes and work through some of that. Again, you mentioned the employees that may have left us and the experience that they likely left with. And that gives us an opportunity to really look at how we do business and look at ways that we can be more efficient and streamline and still get mission critical work done, and do that for the American people, as well as focusing on the priorities of the service.
I hear a lot of mission critical. I'm asking for specifics. I appreciate you've been here for 5 weeks. You also knew you were coming here today. I assumed you were prepared in some form or fashion specific to this question. It's not just my concerns. You're going to hear a lot of it on this side of the dais. So again, specific ways that you're going to be able to operate at least 400 people down. And I would push back that they were not all voluntarily separated from government. And those remaining, I would also assert, survived the Doge guillotine. So I don't want to sit here and pretend like everything is hunky-dory, because it's very clearly not. But my chief concern is how you're going to continue a level of service that taxpayers expect while, as the ranking member said, ensuring the conservation of our natural resources, the specifics.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm doing my best to try to answer that with specifics, because at my level, where we're assigned tasks and trying to make sure that we're not having things drop off, that's probably been regardless of employee numbers. So we're just trying to focus on what the task ahead of us is, making sure that our employees are taken care of, and that the work that we're doing is how we've always tried to operate, and that's putting the best product on the ground and the best people doing it.
Okay. I again, want to extend a warm welcome. I assume you're, despite my line of questioning, you're going to come back to this committee. I would like to make sure that when we have a second conversation, a second bite at the apple, we have a little more of a strategic plan. Because if you're asking us to trust that you can still implement your mission, in addition to the major policy changes that this committee is considering, we actually have a strategic, thoughtful conversation about that. And with that, I yield back. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.